Welcome back to Port Elizabeth, the beautiful city. This is part 23. I erroneously called the previous video part 23, which was obviously 22. We're resuming our walk around St. George's Park, but we're at an entrance on the kind of southern side. So a lovely ornate gate here. This is sort of craftsmanship that one expected back in the day. As I said earlier, St. George's Park was established in 1860, so 40 years after the arrival of the 1820 settlers. And the Brits coming from places like London with all its royal parks, they had the foresight to know that you needed to establish parks, green areas for the people to relax, and this was a perfect example. So we head in via this gate. And nearby is the Park Drive Bowling Club. I think we get closer to it shortly. Established, I could not establish when it was established. I don't think it was operational actually at this point, although the greens are looking still quite good. So it's a moot point. I think maybe at this point it was still going strong, and there's no sign of vagrants, which I would later encounter when I did a follow-up visit. So a nice looking set of greens. But we've moved. This is the St. George's Bowling Club, but here we move to the St. George's Park. Sorry, this one is called the Park Drive Bowling Club. The oldest bowling club in South Africa is the St. George's Park Bowling Club, with the first bowling green in the country. And it's right ahead there. You'll see a little plaque down here. I think we're going to get a closer look at it. Not very easy to read, but it says here, this is Founders Green, opened in 1884 by the resident magistrate, A.C. Wild, and the plaque reads, the first green in South Africa was laid by the Port Elizabeth Bowling Green Club, founded in 1882. 1882. I would later go into the clubhouse, but I don't think I did on this occasion. Could be wrong. Okay, and nearby was a place called Manville, and this is it. I mean, I doubt whether this has survived. So, lovely trees around there, and in Manville, they used to hold an annual Shakespeare production. It's an outdoor theatre, and the problem was already back in the 80s and 90s, theft and vandalism. So by this stage I think they had started to cordon it off again, but that's the actual stage. I don't think I ever watched a Shakespeare production, but it was a big thing in PE up until the 90s. But they used to hold the annual Four Winds Folk Club show there, which I watched on one occasion, I think. So, there's the stage, as it were, and then people would just kind of camp on these lawns here. And we got a bird. I think it could be an olive thrush, yeah. and then interesting ponds. So this was a classic park in the British sense. Beautiful pond here with water lilies, bird life, and a bubbling fountain there. This was in everything still actually functioned miraculously after, 10 years of, no, 20 years of misrule generally. So it's a view towards the St. George's Park Bowling Club, or the Port Elizabeth Lawn Bowls Club, or whatever. And where does this little wooden bridge lead? Pearson Conservatory. 1882. It's a nice view of it from this angle. So we saw it previously early evening or late afternoon in midwinter with the sun pouring through this, turning it into like a lantern. Now it's overcast, but we're able to get a better view perhaps of. This is around the back. So these windows for some reason are sort of closed off, not transparent. This is the view of the front, and in this fountain there was this little statuette of a water carrier, which I sketched. I've got a drawing stamp somewhere of it. That, of course, suffered vandalism and was lost. They used to hold concerts here as well. I've got a photograph somewhere of people sitting around here watching a band playing there. That was back in the... So we know that this thing's also, what did I say, 1890 or so. Anyway, heading back towards the cricket stadium. And Rotary founder Paul Harris planted this tree. I don't know why it's an exotic tree, but anyway. And there's a little bandstand where I did a few sketches. If you look at my other YouTube videos called Kin in Line, The Art of Drawing, I did quite a few sketches of people performing on that little bandstand. So at this point it was a fairly safe place. Then there are two tennis clubs, and this is the younger of the two. Park Avenue Tennis Club. So Park Avenue is actually off Park Drive, but it intersects with it roughly where this clubhouse is. And that's the swimming pool, St. George's Park swimming pool, which is famous. So it had been really uglified by the coat of sort of murky brown paint that they used, and then a strange bright blue. But this Art Deco building was where Athol Fugard set Master Harold and the Boys. His mother worked in this little restaurant here, and his experiences, Fugard's experiences of that sort of inspired the book, the play. So the swimming pool, St. George's Park swimming bath was 1937. And look at this, how they've painted out. So this was post 94 when they repainted it, and they've just painted over the Port Elizabeth coat of arms. In an attempt again to just erase history, I suppose. And here we come to the Duck Pond Pavilion, which was built in the early 90s as South Africa was readmitted into world cricket. They needed to expand St. George's Park cricket ground. Little children's play area and a voortrekker wagon and cattle, oxen, I guess. Okay, so this is the original PE lawn tennis club, with the lawn having been replaced by whatever they make tennis courts of these days. And here it reads, the plaque right next to that reads, Port Elizabeth Lawn Tennis Club, established 1st of the 9th, 1879, the oldest tennis club in the Cape Province. And this is the site of the original court number 1. The original site of court number 1. So 1879 they had this set up already. And with that tennis court on the right, we head towards the actual, towards St. George's Park cricket ground. On the left is the St. George's Park Cemetery, the Scottish cemetery, which we saw earlier. Looking back at the court and towards the entrance to this Duck Pond Pavilion. And it just a little shot through there. You can't really see it, but that is actually the field in the distance through that gap. And nearby, quite a lot of overgrown shrubbery. And here's the King George VI Art Gallery, subsequently renamed. And heading back to between the two wings of the gallery, left and right, you can see the cenotaph. I think we encounter it closer. Yeah, here we go. Cenotaph Memorial was sculpted by James Garner in 1929, commemorating the men who died in World War I. And the names of the victims of World War II are also on this. And here we see the two art gallery buildings still have their actual names engraved above the doors. EPSAC, EP Society of Arts and Crafts. The Roman numerals there say 1927. So on this, there you can't really see it, but that is where the original arts and crafts, this was their gallery. Oh, there we go. It's called the Arts Hall, that section. On the other side, the sort of mirror of that one, the numerals give it the year of 1955. And this was known originally as the King George VI Art Gallery, but combined they were known as that until they renamed it after Nelson Mandela, which is slightly absurd. So that's one side of the story, and that's the other. And then in between are these plaques. This one is memory of those who gave their lives in the 2 world wars. That's what it says. Not very clear with this. and Afrikaans, the same inscription. And looking from the art gallery, we view down Kyler Street. And from a distance, you can see the two wings of the art gallery flanking the cenotaph. And here in the top end of Western Road are these lovely Victorian sort of townhouses. So much worth retaining. I mean, if you look at the style here, it has to also be from the late 19th century. Same time as the Donkin Row and those ones. And that's a long view back towards the gallery and this cricket stadium. So this is all in Western Road. Back at St. George's Park, and I think I even took this around about the 11th of November. We were in October, so it's not far out. Poppies next to the cenotaph. That's quite clever gardening planning. And it's not very clear there, just the top of it. And this is St. George himself after slaying a dragon. And then on the other side is the sort of completing the family with a woman with her two children. Great sculptures in their own right. Gardner's name just visible down there, apparently. Here's old St. George. The dragon, it's quite a small dragon, but he managed to get it. And then all the names, lives lost. You'll see most of these are English, and there's one or two Afrikaans. See if there's, so this starts at K and ends at with young. There are some Afrikaans. There's a Vermaak, Van der Walt, Van die Kerk, but mainly English. Ross, so it could be a relative, distant relative. Lots of Max here, McKay, McLaughlin. Looking down Carter Street, bit of a silhouette, but you know, those roofs and chimney and stuff, that's all sort of historic roofscape, if you like. And then this beautiful building, Alderton Mansions. And I went inside. I managed to sneak in and just get a photo of this stained glass. The view back from there. And then they knocked down a little tennis club here. It was called the St. George's Tennis Club, I think. So here it is, the remains. This was for the 1992 2 Cricket World Cups, so they could extend the stand over this to fit more people in, on the understanding that they would rebuild it afterwards. Of course, that never happened. So now it's just a ruin. St. George's Park, St. George's Tennis Club. But we're going to call it for now, because there's still much more I'm going to show you in Park Drive behind those walls. Cheers.